I think he proved that with the Dolphins, who had a terrible team when he first got there. They started off terribly, but ended off strong his first year, and almost made the playoffs 2 years in a row. Even with mediocre quarterback play, mediocre offensive line play, they've always had a top defense, which is his specialty. When it comes to this lawsuit, one thing that I do respect from Brian Flores is that he said that, hey, this may hurt his chances of being able to coach in the league ever again. And so he understands the consequences that will be associated with suing the NFL, right? So I do respect that. Outside of that, I think that Brian Flores is suffering from a legitimate mental flaw when it comes to representation that has been inside the American psyche since 1964. In 1964 Civil Rights Act, the idea was inserted inside the American psyche of disparate impact. Okay, disparate impact. What that means is that we can look and try to judge a situation, and this was mostly intended in hiring practices, but we can look at and judge a situation and say, hey, there may be discrimination in this situation if a protected class of people are adversely affected by whatever the process is that is going on, right? So you have, a bunch of managers who are getting ready to hire people, and they have a particular process. And after rounds and rounds and rounds, people getting hired, they look at a protected class of people, whether it be minorities, women, gays, whoever, right? And they say, hey, look, not enough of these people, they're a disproportionately low number of these people are being hired. There must be something wrong with the process. In my opinion, this is the worst thing that has, not the worst, this is one of the worst things that has ever come out of Congress, one of the worst ideas that have ever been pushed in America, right? Because it now teaches us to always look for the flaw in the process and say, hey, there must be a flaw in the process because we're not doing well, right? Wherever our group is, no matter if it's in hiring, no matter if it's in SATs, no matter what it is, oh, it's not enough of us, there must be something wrong with the process. So the NFL goes and they try to fix the process. They try to fix the process by adding in the Rooney Rule. In between 2000 and 2002, I don't know exactly, 2003, okay, 2003, right? They put the Rooney Rule in, right, to try to make this process a little bit better by saying, hey, you know what, maybe not enough Black coaches are getting the opportunity because they just aren't getting put in front of the decision makers, right? So if we put them in front of the decision makers, right, we know that they're talented enough. If enough people saw them, then they would make the decision to put them in as head coaches, right? They tried that. Some of that worked, right? One of the first Rooney Rule hires was Mike Tomlin, who the Steelers had their guy at the time that he came to interview with them. And they were like, wait a second, no, we got to hire this guy, right? And so, ironically, the Rooney Rule, named after Art Rooney, who was one of the previous owners of the Steelers. They were the first Rooney Rule hire, right? And it has worked out well, right? Hall of Fame coach. And so you have that there. But I think for Brian Flores and anybody else, every year we have this discussion. Oh, not enough Black coaches, right? There could be reasons beyond race, right? Correlation is not always causation. Because there's a correlation that, hey, the coaches who get passed over happen to be the Black coaches. There could be another reason other than, hey, they're the Black coaches, right? And because of the idea of disparate impact, which has been inside the American consciousness since 1964, we do not allow ourselves to look at anything else. And we continue to point and say, oh, systemic racism, systemic racism, systemic racism. We need change. We want change. We need change. We will never be satisfied because we won't look at what are the other factors that may be at play here, right? So I know, hey, here's Christian, the house coon, coming to give his piece, right? Yes, I'm here. So there we go.
You know what, bro? I don't even think you have to categorize yourself as a coon with how you feel about the situation. I think that for me, looking at the situation, I do sometimes feel like it's not always racism. However, I do understand we as a Black community have to fight for ours, whatever that ours may be in whatever particular field. And as it relates to the NFL and coaching jobs, as opposed to standing, and when you talk about the Rooney Rule and that being a white man in the Steelers organization, I want to say maybe the owner, could be wrong about that, who implemented this system, and then therefore it helped somebody like Mike Tomlin. And so now, how many times is a Black coach going to go before an owner, and that owner already have his mind made up, and that owner interviews that Black head coach and it's like, no, we want you instead. How many times is that going to happen? I don't know. But the Rooney Rule isn't just about the Black coaches. It's, you're a minority, Ron Rivera's and so on and so forth. So I think, like you said, respect to Brian Flores. He's saying, hey, I know this may put a stain on me and I may not be able to get the opportunities that I once had because of this, but he wants to see change in the future. Like, whereas, hey, if for Brian Flores, right, let's say they had already made up their mind they wanted to hire you before you even got interviewed, would that not still be like wrongdoing or not treating everybody else fairly who came before you or after you? Like, would you have a problem with that if they had already made up their mind they wanted you before they interviewed you? You know what I'm saying? I feel like also too with the class action suit, I don't know how, but I feel like it's going to make people, like I was saying, it's going to make people or organizations more apprehensive to be like, do they want to hire a Black coach, whether or not they deem him good enough or his record is da-da-da-da-da-da. But for Brian Flores, specifically in his case, him feeling like, yo, this is about racism. First season, 5-11 with the Dolphins. Second season, 10-6. Third season, this past season, start off 1-7, finish 8-7. Within that, you have a 7-game winning streak. Missed the playoffs all 3 of those years. And here's his reason, right? Can you definitively say whether or not this is racism? Who knows? But this is his reasoning behind feeling like that's the case regarding him. So, again, the lawsuit is against the Dolphins, Giants, and Denver. Starting with the Dolphins. Reason they're receiving a part of this lawsuit, owner Stephen Ross offered him $100,000 for every loss in an effort to tank for the number 1 pick in 2019. It was told to Flores by the general manager, Chris Greer, that the owner was mad because of his winning success was compromising the Dolphins draft pick. Maybe not. There's friction. There may be friction between.
Just real quick. Edward, I'm gonna let you finish. Just think about that though. I know he might be mad at that. And a lot of football people might be mad at that statement, right? But them winning was the difference between Joe Burrow being in Cincinnati and Tua being in Miami. That's the difference. Those 5 games they won is the difference between Joe Burrow and Tua. So I just want to, I know everyone hates tanking, and I didn't even get on why I thought he got fired, which, you go on here, but yeah, I'm just saying. So go ahead.
Okay. So that's the situation with the Dolphins. Then with the Giants, we just talked about, it came across through the Bill Belichick text that they had already predetermined they was going to hire Brian Daboll before they even interviewed Brian Flores. So that's the case with the Giants. Now with Denver, 2019, he had a job interview, and in the court documents, John Elway and President Joe Ellis showed up an hour late to the interview and appeared to be drunk or drinking. So that's why they're also included in that. So you add up all of that, and there may be other things not listed, maybe other things that may come out in the future. But collectively, as of now,
That's just a lack of respect in all the statements that you said. I think it's more respect than racism. A respect as a equal head coach. You don't tell a head coach to tank, even though that is a thing. One that wants to be a winner and sees that he can actually make some out of the team, you don't tell him to tank. You know what I'm saying? And especially when you do a 7-game winning streak, like, it's respect. Like, dude, I got you a 7-game winning streak. I'm showing you I could be that guy even with nothing, even with a mediocre to okay quarterback, and with the team that we have. So now, and then just like you said with the Denver interview, you come in drunk. Put some respect on my name. I'm that guy. I'm that guy you want. But you come in here an hour late, you drunk, which is very possible. He is a adult. He can do what they want. But when you go to a meeting and you're obviously drunk and it's still on your breath and you're doing certain things to, come off a certain way, it's insulting. It's like someone going to a job interview and the boss that first hired you comes in an hour late and they got liquor on their breath. How you going to feel? Are you going to feel like this establishment where you feel respected, you're going to feel welcome? Or are you going to feel like this is a garbage can place that doesn't even respect me enough to come sober and give me, respect my time? So I think it's more about a respect thing than actual racism.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead, Sudesh.
I don't know. For me, it's kind of hard to call to say that it was racism or it's not racism because, I mean, you got 3 examples. So you know what I'm saying? Like, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And yeah, I mean, he feels how he feels.
I don't know if I would be taking what you were saying, Christian, but like if we just talking about the Dolphins situation specifically, the owner could have been pissed off if he was a white coach and he decided not to tank.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
And real quick, I'll say this. I don't know if just based off like legality, he has to use like discrimination or whatever like legal jargon. So I don't know if he feels like it's genuine discrimination. Well, in some of his quotes, he's said, blacks or whatever. But yeah, also too, he's also being represented by the lawyers of the victims in the Weinstein case too, for more. But
yeah, I mean, the Dolphin situation. I told this to my dad after Brian Flores got fired. I was like, look, if I was Chris Greer, I would have fired him as well. The thing is, and again, I started off the episode. Brian Flores is definitely one of the best 32 coaches of football in the world. He should be an NFL head coach. If I was the GM of the Dolphins, and I have the same philosophy that Chris Greer has, right? I'm an analytics guy, right? Hey, we do whatever the data tells us, right? Flores is not that. You can't have it's like having a two-headed monster, right? You got to have one vision. of how we're going to get this done, how we're going to get this thing done, right? If Flores was an analytics guy, he would have been like, okay, hey, I get the tanking. You guys are paying me to tank. I understand it. As long as we understand that, hey, we're doing this together as a unit, right? And he would have understood it and said, hey, we're doing this for a particular reason. This and this. He would have understood it, right? There's in-game decision making that he does not make. That the analytics say, hey, do these things, do X, Y, and Z. He doesn't do that because he goes with his gut. He has a football feel. I get it, right? But because of that, he and Chris Greer were never going to see eye to eye, right? And Stephen Ross, who put in an analytics department before Chris Greer got there, obviously believes in this stuff, and Brian Flores didn't. So that's the reason why he's out in Miami, right? It has nothing to do with his race. Okay. If he had the same mind as a lot of black GMs right now, right? Like Andrew Berry, like Kwesi, I can't say his last name, who the new GM in Minnesota, right? There are a lot of black people in the NFL who are analytics bound, right? Brian Flores just happened to not be one of them, right? And so when you get a GM who is like, hey, I'm going by the data, whatever the data says, you have a head coach that's not that, then you get, you're going to get friction on and off the field. And so, yeah, that there. So I wouldn't count that as even evidence of racism there. But again, you have, I don't know, hey, he claims what happened with John Elway, may have happened. I actually wouldn't be surprised if it did. To me, the Rooney Rule, though it's a good attempt at trying to fix what's a perceived problem, it lends itself to that. Right? When John Gruden got hired for the Raiders, they interviewed T. Martin, who was a quarterbacks coach at USC. Wasn't even offensive coordinator. T. Martin, the old Tennessee quarterback, won the national championship in like 2000, 2001. They interviewed him for the head coaching job for the Raiders. He wasn't getting that. They already knew who they wanted. So you have the Rooney Rule in place. You're going to get a bunch of these fake interviews. So, I discussed that earlier with you guys about, Byron Leftwich and Adrian Wilson and what could be happening with the Jags. And, they seem like they're going in a whole nother different direction right now. But I don't know. I think I would be happy if they just got rid of the Rooney Rule. You wouldn't have a bunch of these fake interviews. People just go over the time. We just have to deal with the repercussions of it.
I'd say keep it just off. Down the road, you have another Mike Tomlin to come down the road, but neither here nor there.
It's real quick before we leave on this, Edward. How many Mike Tomlins, are we gonna get? So what's the cost to get the Mike Tomlin, right? Because right now we're going on almost 20 years, right? So what's the cost? What I'm saying is every NFL vacancy, there's like 7 to 8 vacancies every year, right? So say we go 8. So every year you have 16 bogus interviews, because you have to do at least 2. 16 bogus interviews for these black head coaches to waste their time, their effort. They got to go over and prepare for these things. They got to fly out, take time away from their family so that we can get one Mike Tomlin.
I'd say this. It's not just, I could be wrong, but it's not just black coaches who go through bogus interviews.
It's not just black coaches that go through bogus interviews. But the Rooney Rule itself lends it.
I understand what you're saying. It's just like, hey, y'all put the Rooney Rule in place, like you said, with good intentions. But on the backside of that, you can't expect the people interviewing you to have good intentions to possibly hire you. Like, that's just the nature of the business. Even in the real world, you can go on an interview. That doesn't mean you're guaranteed. Yes, we want to feel like we have a legitimate chance. But like, yo, this is the NFL. This is the NFL. Like, not everybody's guaranteed an opportunity. Like, it's a buddy system. It's not what you know, it's who you know. Like, there are handshakes and dinners and da-da-da-da-da-da and golf course meetings and whatever, so on and so forth that goes in place.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that every black coach that gets interviewed isn't truly considered. Yes, it's unfortunate. But is it fair? No. But that's the world. That's the life we live in. Sometimes life just isn't fair. Do I wish that we could have those opportunities as blacks? Sure, of course. But I mean, like, this is what the running rule brings. Like,
It is. And then another person who we know for a fact had a fake interview this coaching cycle who's not black was Rich Bisaccia. Rich Bisaccia had a fake interview for the Raiders head coaching job, right? They knew who they wanted, right? They're getting Josh McDaniels. They already knew who they wanted. He knew that they wanted him. They knew they wanted him. That's the only reason he even went there. And the fans just would have been, irate if they didn't hire Rick, or they didn't at least interview Rick Bisaccia. So, yeah, sure, it happens to other people, not just black head coaches or not just black head coach candidates. But having this rule itself where you're forcing teams, hey, you can't hire somebody until you do this, you're going to get a bunch of these fake ones. Okay, hey, let's go in for 5 minutes real quick. Hey, what's going on, man? Hey, would you like to be the coach? Okay, all right, see you.
Yeah, I could be wrong. I think those interviews are like, I don't know, oversaw or transcribed, but I don't know. I could be wrong about that. Wrapping it up, quote by Brian Flores after the class action lawsuit today, again against the Giants, Broncos, and Dolphins. God has gifted me with a special talent to coach the game of football, but the need for change is bigger than my personal goals. And making the decision to file the class action complaint, I understand that I may be risking coaching the game I love and has done so much for my family and me. My sincere hope is that by standing up against systemic racism in the NFL, others will join me to ensure that positive change is made for generations to come. End quote. So far outside of the Giants, he has interviewed Brian Flores has interviewed with the Bears and the Texans. And as of right now, today, February 1st, the Texans, Jaguars, Dolphins, and Vikings head coaching positions are available. So we'll see what happens. And also, too, Mike Tomlin is currently the only black head coach in the league as it stands right now at this present moment in time.